Hello, Sheldon. Can you hear me? Mhm. I think you're muted. Unmute your screen, your audio.
There we go. All right.
There you go. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I wanted to thank you for redoing your capstone survey. That's night and day different from the beginning. So I was really pleased with that. But I wanted to make sure that you got all of your questions answered and feel comfortable moving forward because are you in month 5 or month 8?
Month 5.
Month 5. That
Yes.
because we moved data visualization to month 5 from month 8. But
Mhm.
for until it catches up with itself, I have students in data visualization from month 5 and month 8. So
I
it does make
actually
a
took
difference.
a actually took a 3-month break. So the students that in our class right now are the students that I started with.
Oh, okay, okay. That's good because I think I only have 2 more months where I have students from month 5 and 8 in the same class. Because it does make a difference, how much you've been exposed to before you get to this class. And we actually do a lot of data visualization and analysis in this class, so it does matter. So,
Absolutely. And I even saw on this week's project, it said something about the patterns and recognition. And I
mhm,
know I haven't taken that class. I believe that's the next class or the following class.
mhm,
So that was also one of my concerns I wanted to check in on. But I definitely wanted to make sure that I'm getting a good start on the capstone.
right,
Not many of the classes before, and nothing against the professors, but they didn't really, I would say, focus enough on it for me to be able to even develop what we were asking for in this. I've done
right,
thesis statements. My degree is in psychology. So I've had to do that in the past. So just kind of formulating for this versus something like I've done in the past was a little bit difficult for me, as
sure.
well as not everything was loading up. So some of the images that you had, I was like, what is she talking about? What images? So they weren't all loading up. So now everything was working. I was able to see your examples, use that. And then Christine Mellon, I believe she's in your class right now.
Yes.
She's a coworker of mine. We work at the Los Angeles Film School. So I reached out to her and just kind of asked a few questions in reference to how you replied. So I was hoping that what I put together was going to be good enough for what you're looking for. And absolutely, you are correct on the idea of the fact that I was going more for business management because that's what I've been working in for a very
Sure.
long time. And the way that you broke it down was much clearer than what I've gotten over the last few months. So thank you for that as well.
No, thank you for caring enough about your success to make sure that you understand it. And it's normal to come into a business course of any kind and want to focus on the management side, the business decisions. And sometimes the business intelligence professional will be involved in both of those, but as a general rule, the business intelligence person is the analyst. They provide all
Yes.
of the data and someone else makes the decisions. And if you're able to do both, that is fantastic. But as far as this capstone, I want it to be something that you can use as part of your portfolio to
Okay.
show people your current job or future jobs or anybody what you're capable of doing by analyzing a company. And if you can do that with just basic public financial statements, imagine what you could do with access to all of their internal data that we can't see right now. And I want you to be able to show them what you're able to diagnose and see so that they know that what they're getting in you is something fantastic. So that's why I focus so hard on the data driven aspects of this because
Mhm.
business intelligence basically is data analysis, that's all.
Yes.
And it's just a fancy name of providing intelligence to decision makers to make decisions. That's really all we're doing. And I don't feel like a lot of programs spend enough time showing our students how to do what I'm trying to show you how to do. And I have you for 2 months, 5 and
Yes.
10. And I focus a whole lot on this data part for you because we revised the program a couple months back and they decided for me to do this in month 5 for you guys so that by the time you got to me again in month 10, we're pulling it all together for your capstone. And then you're basically ready to roll for month 11 and 12.
Yep.
So, but I pulled up you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
I pulled up the financial statements from Acadia, and I knew that you had found that this site because I saw that you did go to the profile and you did get the correct industry and sector.
Yes.
So I knew that you had found the site that I wanted you to. And then when you go to chart, I wanted to show you as far as data, there's a lot of data that's available from publicly traded companies. And when you look at this 2-year stock chart for Acadia, it tells a lot. Their stock is
Oh,
all over the
yes.
place, isn't it?
Yes. I actually worked for this company when they first acquired a hospital I worked for. And when they
Right.
initially came in, the stocks were pretty low and they shot up over the first few months and then it started going down. And I know within the company I was working with, I was the director of admissions. So I did have to look at the numbers a lot.
Sure.
And I didn't understand them as well, which is one of the main reasons when I saw this as a degree, I was all over it.
Sure.
But this is something that I wanted to make sure I understood a bit better because one of the things that we argued was if we would be able to increase our admissions if we were able to figure out why our numbers drop off in the
Right.
wintertime. Because you'll
Exactly.
see that in the stocks.
That's exactly right. You're putting the puzzle together like I'm wanting you to be able to, because with in your industry, let's say healthcare, yes, if you don't have admissions and patients and people coming, your revenue is going to fall off. It just is. That's all we have. And part of it is understanding why that's happening, and to you have to analyze the data and the trends to do that. You're exactly right. And I was looking at this stock chart this morning. Their high for 2 years was right there at 44.75
Hmm.
on October 28th of 18. So that for 2 years, that was their high. And we probably all know what happened right here, March 15th of 2020. Bottom fell out of
Yes.
everything. But now you can see that it's climbing back up. So you do have a good starting point. By one of the challenges is to level out the stock trading line.
Hmm.
That could be an opportunity for you to put in your capstone. Instead of the wild swings, you could quote the high of 44 on 1018 to the low of this back up to, that's a lot of swings in 2 years. You could quote that as an opportunity, an opportunity to make the stock trading line, the trend, more consistent, because then they have more revenue, more financing, because the stockholders are providing money into the company. And when you see it dropping off, all this is really telling you, Sheldon, is the stockholders that buy and sell the stock have sold all their stock.
Yep.
And that's
Um,
what this is telling us. So, and companies, publicly owned companies, use the money provided by the stockholders as financing for all their operations in addition to their revenues. So when this drops off like this, that is a serious drop in funding and financing for any organization. So anytime you see wild swings like this in a stock chart, there's automatically a business intelligence opportunity to discover through data, which is exactly what you said. Discover through data the wild swings in the stock prices over the last 2 years. And then you could quote for data the highs and the lows for the 2 years. And so the opportunity is to use data to find out what is driving those trends, so that you can level out that line. And why would you want to do that? This is what a lot of people miss. Why does that need to happen? Because now the severe drops downward in the stock price reduce funding and financing to the organization.
oh yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. So why this is so important, the opportunity to level out that swing, is to level out the financing and funding to the organization, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Because they can't control this any other way. And if it starts going down like this, all of their funding is going down. Well, now it makes their operational cost a bigger percentage of their revenue, and everything is out of whack.
Absolutely. And that was what I was looking at. Operational costs is just so high for the company. And
Yes.
I know it was showing 2018, they actually were working out of a deficit.
Yes.
So so I was going through a lot of that. And luckily my brother started doing stocks recently. So looking at this isn't like totally foreign to me at this time. So this actually works out pretty well.
Yeah, I've been a stockbroker and owned my own stock brokerage firm. So
Nice.
this is something that's like second nature to me. So I really wanted to make sure that I answered any of the students' questions on how this pertained to business intelligence. One is because if it's a publicly traded company, you can see this information, but so can
Everybody else.
everybody else, right?
All your competitors. Oh
All
yeah.
your competitors see what you're doing. All of the people that may or may not want to buy the stock see what you're doing. So it's interesting to be able to see what's going on and make comparisons. I just ran a quick number this morning and I said, I looked at the operating expenses, like you said. The operating expenses in all of those lines here should increase or decrease at the same percentage as revenue.
Yes.
It should all go at the same. And I looked at 2019 over 2018, the revenue increased 4.09%. No, pardon me, 3.15%. But the operating expenses right here increased 4.09%.
Yeah.
So first year, just like you said, and you had pointed that out over there in your survey, if your operating expenses are increasing at a higher rate than your revenue, you're losing money on the bottom line, aren't you?
Yes, we are.
And that's what I was looking at down here on the net income. This one is a fluke of some kind. This 175, 750, I'm not sure what happened there to cause such a drastic
I
negative,
think.
but it looks to be right here.
Mm-hmm.
So something got thrown into the other income and expenses that threw that one off. But even if you take that out and level out the trends, the net income is going in the wrong direction.
Yep.
So if net income is not increasing at the same percentage as your revenue, there's a problem. There's an opportunity in all of these categories to use data and business intelligence to level all that out for you.
Yep. That's why
So
I left
that,
the company.
yeah,
That was the year I left the company.
yeah, see?
2018. That was, I think that was the date. Actually, it was the end of December.
Oh,
I
wow.
I left the company 2018.
See, it fell apart right after you left. Yeah. So, and you're looking at it exactly right. And now, this is what I'm telling you now is for the capstone and for the project this week. When I gave you the template for the Excel template for week 4, if
Hmm.
you go out here and get all those numbers and put them in, it's going to populate. And then I want you to add columns like you did in the discussions so
Yes.
that you can calculate the percentage of revenue increase 19 over 18, 18 over 17, 17 over 16, so that you can calculate the increase or decrease in all of the categories so that you can see what we just did. And then
And
you
you
can
want
use
you're
those
gonna want
in
us to
Power
do it
BI.
you're gonna do it in Power BI, or we're gonna do more of that calculation in Excel.
You're going to put it on the Excel spreadsheet. I already have the calculations in there for you.
Okay, okay.
You're
Yeah.
just going to put this information in it, and then you're going to upload those Excel spreadsheets into your Power BI so that you can show what we're talking about. You can show revenue trends versus operating expenses trends in a visualization. So that's where we're really getting the nuts and bolts of what we're wanting you to do. If you can show one chart with 2 different lines, one of them's a color for revenue and one of them's a
Hmm.
color for operating expenses, and show that they're going in different directions, and you show that to a decision maker, enough said, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I,
you're showing them. And that's what I'm wanting to help you all be able to do with this is take this data right here. This is this company's blood work, isn't it? We just did
oh
an
yeah.
MRI and blood work, and this is the results, and we're going to discuss it with the company. And those visualizations and charts are to highlight to the company executives and decision makers what you have found in the data. And that's all we're doing is presenting what you have found by looking at this data to the decision makers. And you're going to be able to turn that into now for this project by saying, although we see all these challenges and opportunities, we can use business intelligence in the following ways to use your data to fix it.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That's what we're doing at this point because, I'm not sure what they're using for their business intelligence. Probably not, if whatever they have, they're not using it well.
Definitely not. They haven't
You
been for
can see
years.
that. So, whatever platform you want to use, as long as you can show how what you're going to do is provide information from this data to the decision makers to make these adjustments in real time. to stop this. For example, if you own a company, which I have several times, if you budget your revenue at a certain number and you know that your operating expenses is supposed to be 17% of that, if your revenue goes up and I get a dashboard every day that shows me that, I can adjust my expenses every day too based on what my revenue is doing.
Absolutely.
You
Yep.
know, and I can provide that information to my frontline decision makers, and they can see that, oh, revenues went down 2%. I need to make that up somewhere in my operating expenses. So that's one of the ways we can use business intelligence in real time to affect these numbers instead of looking at them after the fact. And I'm not necessarily concerned what system you use or say, and neither is anyone else in the program, as long as you're able to say, we can use data this way using this system to impact these results. That's what we're looking for.
And I went with Power BI because that's the one I'm very much the most
Sure.
familiar with, clearly. And of course, as you look at the quadrants, that clearly they're at the top. And
Yes. Well,
so,
it's Microsoft. I mean, you know, right now they're the king, right?
oh yeah. And
And
I
if you
watched.
I wanted to show you something right here where it says healthcare analytics on my screen.
Mhm.
SciSense. SciSense is one of the top companies that provides business intelligence
You're gonna have to
platforms
switch.
for healthcare.
You're gonna have to switch the screens.
I
It's
didn't
still
switch
showing
it.
the Yahoo Finance.
Okay.
So you got to close this one out and then select them. There you go. Perfect.
Okay. This one, SciSense, they have, they're widely known for healthcare analytics.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you choose Power BI, that's fine. You can look at the terminology of how it affects the different departments in healthcare and use those same concepts applied to Power BI. I wanted to show you this, that for finance and clinical and operations, SciSense will tell you, as you can see right there, what their platform does. And I wanted you to be able to look at the wording and how they use their Power BI system. They're all basically the same, right? They just call it something different. I wanted you to be able to read through these and find out how business intelligence is used in the medical industry to provide the information under the different categories for operations and medical devices and finance. This does a really good job, and they have a lot of good case studies out there that you can look at too for SciSense. And then you can apply that to the same Power BI that you're familiar with. So this just tells you how each of the platforms work in healthcare. And it even gives you dashboard examples and all of that that you can use to design your Power BI as well. So I went out and found that because I helped somebody 6, 7 months ago with theirs, and we did healthcare. And this, they also use Power BI, but they applied how SciSense uses theirs to Power BI because it would work the same way. But I think if you looked at that and used that same terminology and understood the flow of how the data come through, you will feel so much more on top of what's going on with this process.
That's perfect. Like I'm pretty comfortable with pulling in the data, with making changes to the data, and then also doing the visualization. I got pretty comfortable with it so far. Definitely, by no means I think I'm perfect. I was excited about doing the different projects we did in this program, especially the superhero one.
Right.
I was excited about that one. I felt like I did a good job, but I was very surprised about your response. I know some professors, they do the generic responses, but I was definitely surprised a little bit by your response by it. So thank you for that once again.
No, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate when someone puts their heart and soul and works hard into something. And, you know, I notice what you're doing, and I notice when somebody goes above and beyond. And, you know, having been a student myself and still a student to this day, I know what it's like to think you did a good job and not know really how it stood in the scheme of things. I mean, this is my last month in my mobile gaming Master of Science at Full Sail right now myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm with you. You know, I'm a professor and I'm a student, and I know what it's like to get timely feedback or not. And, I've been on all spectrums, and I want you all to know that I really pay attention to what you're submitting. And I put a lot of time and thought into when I make those little videos to show you personally what I'm looking at in yours and everything, because it matters if you know what you're doing is to par or above par. It really does matter.
Absolutely.
So I
I
wanted to
really
make
just
sure
want
you
to.
knew that. And
Oh yeah, that's the most important thing for me. I don't care
yes,
good, bad, or other. Just knowing that, okay, this is what I did right, this is what I did wrong, and this is what I need to do to correct it. So I truly appreciate that, which is why I wanted to
absolutely.
have this
And
conversation.
and in a 4-week course, my goodness, if you don't get your feedback early and detailed, you don't have time to apply it before you're working on something else.
Very true. I've
So
had
I
that
wanted to make
already.
sure that, but I think that you're on the right track. I saw how you adjusted your survey, and I've shown you a little bit of just how to compare category to category. And another thing I wanted to look at in their statements, let's see what we're sharing. What are you seeing right now?
I still see Sysons.
Okay, let's do this one. Okay. Are you seeing the Yahoo again?
Yes, I am.
Okay. And it's on the cash flow?
Yes, it is.
Okay, a lot of things really affect company, but the biggest thing, as you well know, like a household, if there's not adequate cash, it doesn't matter what else we're doing right. So, I mean, we can have all the ideas in the world, but without the cash, and I haven't looked at theirs yet. I like to look at the cash flow of every organization because it drives everything.
Hmm.
Now, see right here, the first category is cash flows from operating activities. Well, we know we had a increase in revenue of 4%, 18 over 19, but we had a decrease in cash flow from revenues, didn't we?
Yes, we do.
So we had more revenue but less cash. Huh? You know that,
I,
that that's a
I probably know
problem.
exactly what that is. To be, it's the insurance companies.
Mm-hmm.
They are keeping people in levels of care for longer than they need to be in there, or the insurance isn't paying it out, and now they have to go back and have basically arguments back and forth with the insurance company so that they
Sure.
can pay out after the fact. So,
See, you have the advantage of knowing that,
oh yeah.
and that's also a business intelligence system that interacts real time with the insurance to make sure that everything's timely and up to date. Because you could also it could be showing up as a category. See right here, accounts receivable. That means money that they're waiting on, that the
Hmm.
insurance or the patients owe them. Well, that's a negative. The proper business intelligence solution would show that as owed to them, but not yet received. And it's obviously not doing that. So that's another one of those things that you could put in there knowing what you know. Accounts receivable. Wow. Healthcare always has money coming in that's owed to them from the insurance.
Oh yeah.
So that should be reflected right there, and a proper real-time business intelligence dashboard would show that in real time, and that would add that money back in to the cash flows and to the net income in the right place. So, a lot of times we don't know if the company has cancer, or the blood results are put in the wrong categories.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
what's happening right here. I mean, we know there's money owed to this company from insurance, but it's not showing. So that's a business intelligence opportunity right there for you. When I look down here at the bottom, cash at the beginning of the period and cash at the end of the period. There's a lot more cash at the end of the period, but it's not reflected up here.
Oh,
So
yeah.
something's wrong in their accounting that's causing the transactions not to flow from one department to the other accurately, isn't it? Because if you have less cash, how are you showing more cash down here? It should be reflected. So you have a lot of great things you can work on here with your capstone. Just pick one or two to show that you are able to dig down into this and tell them why that's a problem and how using Power BI would enable them to address that and capture that true numbers. And why is that important? Because then the stockholders see the true numbers, buy more stock, provide them more financing, right? It all
Absolutely.
goes back to why is that important? They may know that the money's there, but if it's not reflected correctly, the stockholders looking at this don't see it, and they're not buying stocks and they're not funding the company. So it all goes back to that same thing for you. Just pick one or two. You can pick all of them if you want to, but there's plenty of it here for you, and you seem to know what's going on. Just pick a couple that you can run all the way through the system and
Mhm.
why it needs to be fixed and what part of a Power BI system would fix it and how. And the end result would be more stable numbers, happy stockholders, more funding,
Absolutely.
if that
I,
makes
it's,
sense.
it's it's funny because I wrote when I start classes on my whiteboard. I write down a few points on here, and then the one thing that I got starred and circled is what is the point?
What is
And
the
that
point?
from your first week, and I'm like, this just stuck with me throughout the whole thing. Anytime I got stuck, I'm like, what is the point? And I try to always go back to that. So that's amazing. Please keep that because if it was helpful for me, I hope that's going to be helpful for other people.
Because you've said in a lot of presentations and a lot of meetings, and before it's over with, you're going, man, what was the point? I don't know what we were even here for. And people say I might be a robot, that I'm always talking about what exactly the point is. Well, I am a robot. My spouse is sitting over here saying, yeah, you are. But when you're in business intelligence or data or anything where you're taking up people's time in a presentation, what's the point? Keep this in mind. Draw you another diagram, a stool with three legs. If you take
Yeah,
any of the legs out, it collapses, right?
that
The
is fact.
legs are, what is it? Why is it important? And how do I use it? So that's what I try to do with you guys is, what is it? What's the point? How do you use it? I'm teaching you how to do it. And how are you going to use it in your career? So that's why you see in all of my discussions, the last question is always, how are you going to use it going forward? Because I can teach you the first two things, what it is and how to do it, but that chair is going to collapse if I don't know that you know how to use it and
Oh
why
yeah.
it's important to you. So everything that you're trying to do or you're trying to explain to someone as an analyst, be sure you let them know what it is, how to do it, and why it's important to them. And why it's important to Acadia is to level out that stock line and keep their funding consistent, isn't it? That's why it's important. And if you don't tell them that, they may not implement your proposal and that stores will collapse. So that's and I think you'll take that with you because you have a really good understanding of what you're trying to do here and what business intelligence will do. So I have no doubt that you'll do fantastic things with this. And anytime you have a question, just let me know. Even if you're not in one of my classes going through, and we'll schedule a time like this so we can go over things and I can show you, because it's very important to me that you get the value out of this education that you need and that you can use it. So
Absolutely.
that's what I'm here for. So anytime it's not a problem. I'll schedule a time and we'll go over these things, because any student that's trying as hard as you are, it's worth it to me to make sure you get what you need.
Thank you. I'll definitely take you up on that. I truly appreciate it. You, Michael Taylor, the other professors I ran into have always extended that, and I truly appreciate it. I'm actually not too far away from you guys. I actually work across the street from Rocky Mountain facility.
Right.
Uh, so at LA for LA Film. So I try to stop by, say hi to my teachers, speak to them, because I think that building
Absolutely.
that network is very important in this. So thank you once again for your time.
No problem, honey. I know you know how important it is, being in the industry with us. And when we all get back on campus, we'll all get together and celebrate all the stuff that we've worked so hard to do, right?
Absolutely.
But if
Absolutely.
you don't have any questions, I'll let you get back to it. I'm sitting here working at home too. So when you're working on this week 4 project, if you have any questions or forget some of the things we just said, just
Mhm.
reach out to me. Send me a text is the best way, because we're building an outdoor kitchen here at my house.
Okay.
And I might not be in front of the computer, but I will have my phone.
All right, perfect. Thank you again for extending that. I'll probably have my project in by like Friday or so, and then if anything, I'll just try to go back over it if I have any questions further, and just so I can make sure I can kind of review it with you if necessary.
All right. And when this is over, it'll send me a link to the video of what we just discussed, and I'll send that to you in case there's anything you need to
Thank
review.
you. I was gonna actually ask you for that 'cause I saw it was recording. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. That'll be for you in case there's anything you want to go back and double check and listen to.
Thank you again.
All
You
right. I
have
can't wait to see what you create.
all right. I'm excited for this week.
All right. Thank you, darling.
Well,
All right.
bye
Bye
now.
bye.